On this week's show, Disney Infinity 3.0 The Review Part 2. Going over interiors and the toy box. All this and more in episode 103 of the Inside Infinity podcast. Do you like Disney like we like Disney? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be watching a Disney Infinity podcast. Well, if you like it as much as we do, you should head on over to MediaMeltdownPodcast.com and check out the Mousecast, a bi-weekly podcast about all things Disney, Disney movies, Disney theme parks, Disney news, anything Disney. Co-hosted by the one and only Steven C., part of the show, friend of the show. If you like Disney like we like Disney, head over to MediaMeltdownPodcast.com and look for the Mousecast. Hello everyone, welcome to Inside Infinity episode number 103. I am Will Kelly. Joining me as always is Mr. Jason Haynes. Jason, how are you today, my friend?
G'day, Will. I am good.
Well, why the hesitation in your good?
Look, we're going to get into that today. So
Are
just
we?
don't give any spoilers. But I am good.
Good.
Verging on great.
So last week we were nothing but just indulging with this game, and we were gushing in the podcast. Is tonight's show, again, no spoilers, is it going to be gushing some more, or are we a little bit down from where we were last week? This is week number 2. Well, week number 3, I guess, for you.
Honeymoon period is over. I hope Disney enjoyed the ride, but it's time to get off that ride and get a bit of reality check.
Okay, well, that's what you're good for. You're good for that honest opinion.
Yeah.
I don't see a Donald hat, though, so I'm not too concerned.
No, we'll explain why soon.
All
Stay
right.
tuned.
Well, before we get started, I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat room. If you'd like to watch us live each and every Monday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, just head over to twitch.tv/Disney Infinity TV. Want to say hello to a few of our friends in there. Chawa, welcome. Filtered Reality, Full of Gunk, Gold Star, Carrie, good seeing you again. I saw your Periscope yesterday. It was awesome. Janalone, welcome. Inpan, Primetime UCF, Taylor, Lynn, Matt Master, and everyone else in there I didn't mention. Really appreciate all of you being with us here tonight on this week's show. I think it's going to be a good one. Like to hear what your thoughts are with the things that we're saying in this week's show when we're talking about interiors and the toy box. So last week, Jason, we had quite the full show. We went over everything from the Toy Box Hub to the play sets to combat to Toy Box Takeover, farming, sidekicks, the whole 9 yards, almost the whole 9 yards. We're going to get to yards number 10 this week when we finish things off by talking first about the interiors, Jason. And so interiors are brought back again for 3.0. This is something that a few members, including myself, of the team really enjoy. And so I know you and I discussed previously before the show started. I'm going to kind of take this portion over, but I do want to hear your thoughts. So first off, you know what? It's a lot of more of the same. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. So depends on what you're looking for out of the interiors. I personally just like the ability to just kind of make your own house, your own kind of character housing. And so with that, I guess there's not much that's a lot different. I haven't really gotten much into the creative toys in the interior. But there are a few additions and a lot more interior toys, so that's absolutely something I'm digging. And Jason, there's a freaking haunted mansion. There's a sidekick haunted mansion in this bad boy, and that alone was enough to give it high marks from me. I don't know. What are some of your
Admission?
thoughts? Yep.
Yeah, well, I'd like to know more about that. Like, again, I haven't had time. Such a huge game, but like, how those sidekick rooms? How would you have you played with those much? How would you rate those?
I have. So let's actually go over some of the new additions. Other than just simply new interior toys, the first one you just mentioned, sidekick rooms. Jason, this is something that I don't know if I haven't played enough of, but I'm a little disappointed in them. If I throw in Darkwing Duck, well, that's a poor example. Let's take Mabel. I throw Mabel in and I would hope to have a Gravity Falls themed sidekick room, but it's just kind of general. And it's cool because you just get a mishmash of interior toys. And chat room, correct me if I'm wrong. This is my experience anyway. It's kind of fun just having a mishmash of toys that are thrown in these sidekick rooms. But I would love to be like, I'm lazy and I don't want to make a room that's themed like Minnie Mouse, so I'm gonna throw my mini sidekick in there and have her put down all mini interior toys that will fit.
Can you use sidekick hats and wands in the interior?
That's a good question. I have not tried that.
Interesting. I think. Look, I just don't. I don't get it. Like, I'm just not the interiors guy. Like, I do. I don't know. I guess where I take issue with it is that when I was introduced to interiors, I was under the understanding that it was sort of an extension of the toy box, and I don't really think it probably is. Even though you can build interiors and link toy boxes to interiors,
Right.
I feel like it needs to go more the way of just being like a Disney Infinity home designer, uh, because all would be forgiven if we could legitimately, without hacks, get those interior
Yeah.
toys and stuff into the toy box. Because I mean, I don't think I've ever really got a what I would consider a valid reason why you can't put interior items in the normal toy box, and I don't understand why we couldn't just have a wall texture for
Yeah.
the blocks. I don't
At the
understand
very
why we
least,
can't.
right?
Yeah, I don't understand why we can't create interiors in the main toy box using wall pieces. I didn't see it any different to being like the castle walls.
Hmm.
So as far as toy box application is concerned, I don't like the interiors in that sense. I feel like it should be all just in the same tool set. But I could definitely see a future for the interiors. I mean,
Yeah.
I've certainly enjoyed decorating and personalizing a house in Animal Crossing, a
Right.
game that I reference a lot. Um, but yeah, I just don't get it. But I'm sure there are lots of people that do enjoy just spending a lot of time feng shui or whatever it is in their interiors. Like, I think that's cool. But
Yeah.
to me, it's a little limiting with the sort of the shape rooms you've got and all that sort of stuff. It seems a little bit too forced
Yeah.
upon. Even the textures, don't you think? Like the fact that you've got a single chandelier that has to go in the middle of the roof. You know what I mean? It just seems a little bit too limiting for my likes. And to me, I feel like that's taking resources and time away from the toy box.
So for me, I use it kind of like I use farming. It's something relaxing. If I just want to get into the game with little structure, but not having to strain my brain too much. So in that respect, I mean, I definitely don't want to go away because it's just meant for me personally something that's relaxing to do for fun. I see its value connecting toy boxes to it. You know, you can carry over the story from an outside world into these interior rooms. But I agree with you. Other than that, is that regardless of it being a memory issue, forgive me, my dog is barking. She never barks.
Oh, I thought that was just your voice.
Yeah,
That's
that was me. That was me yelling at the interiors. Um, outside. Anyway, hopefully that ends real soon. But I agree with you. I don't care what the constraint is. We've seen it being possible to have interior decorations hacked into the toy box, and we've also witnessed the resource strain that causes. That's fine. We're working within resource constraints all the time in the toy box, so let this be another one of those things. So
Does it feel lived in though? Do your sidekicks like exist in there? Like, do you feel like when you come back to your interior that the sidekicks have whatever been, milling around or doing something, spending time in the dojo? You know what I mean? Like that's what I feel like. If that's what they're going for, I don't think it's quite achieving it. Will's muted.
going back to your idea with the hub and having it be your central location for sidekicks. Sidekicks and townspeople get really kind of confused, and the only reason it's a townsperson or a sidekick other than a townsperson, is they're following you around or not.
Yeah.
So, Steve, that was a great comment in the chat. So yeah, I don't get any sort of sense of them having a life of their own when I leave the toy box. In fact, I don't think I've seen it vary. Sometimes they stick around, sometimes they don't when I leave and come back. So yeah,
I
I
definitely
don't.
think that's something they have to fix because I agree. It kind of wrecks the
Yeah, immersion.
immersion. Yeah, if
If
it's
you
if you
can
don't
have
feel
that.
like I've been away for a couple of days, I'll come back and what have you done?
Mm-hmm.
Type stuff. You know what I mean? Oh, you've
Yep.
planted a plant or you've done something. I think if you don't have that, it
Yeah.
seems a little.
Well, like in my opinion, the farm is the first time we've kind of seen that. Is the farm will grow on its own. So we're starting to see some early stages of that. Let's talk about a few other additions to interiors. You know what? Even though the sidekick rooms I don't quite get, at the very least it gives us something to do with those sidekicks. Something we spoke to at length last week.
Yeah.
Continuing on with that, there's trivia in there now, and also mission givers, both of which. So the trivia is fun because it's not only just a time killer, and it gives you fun trivia about Disney movies and Disney parks and Walt Disney himself. But it also is one of the two ways that that you can unlock new sidekicks.
Yeah.
Hey,
You might
folks,
have an intruder, Will. Let's just be honest.
it might
Just
it
watch that
call,
door with Gusto.
I'll just throw Vegemite at them and they'll go away.
Yeah, no problems. Works well.
Well, anyway, what else do we have other than a barking dog? We have Fairy Godmother gives missions of decorating rooms and adding decorations, which will in turn allow you to unlock new sidekicks.
Yeah, that is true.
You knew the interiors better, so you could carry this while I was muted.
Sorry. Sorry, I was too enjoying
Make up
watching it.
something for a moment.
Okay, I'll make us something for a moment. So, yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think these sidekicks need to have more and more to do, and I think the interior is a good place for them. But let's just get them out of the. If we're going to have interiors, let's make interiors in the toy box, main toy box. Just give us walls, give us all that sort of stuff, give us a carpet texture, be able to place rugs. Like, let's just do that in the main toy box. I do not see why it has to be in an actual separate interior thing. It seems so limiting. Does it seem
Yeah.
bigger to you?
As
Like
far as like
more
memory,
rooms and like can you have a lot more rooms, or does it seem roughly on par with what it was? Because they have added a lot
yeah.
more room types. I know, but
As far as I can tell, it feels about the same. So I don't really know if you can build bigger interior
yeah,
spaces.
yeah,
So so yeah, so that's essentially all the new pieces. We have new interior toys. We have sidekick rooms. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is these other kind of. I guess these are sidekick rooms as well. So we have the Haunted Mansion, which isn't really the Haunted Mansion. It is a sidekick Haunted Mansion.
yeah.
And that has a cool mini game with a cool flashlight that you unlock. And
It doesn't do anything more than that, though. Unfortunately, does it?
I don't know if you can create games with a flashlight or anything, if that's what you're saying. And Lim in the chat is saying that it looks like they're bigger now too. So
Okay.
so yeah, so that's new. There is a disco, which is kind of a party room where you can play different types of music, and there's a band playing. There is a dojo. This is something that's kind of cool. And I saw one of your early early live streams where you were saying you should have had two more powerful sidekicks, but you can have them fight each other.
I do like that. That's why I was hoping. Like, I think that's a really cool functionality. Again,
Yeah.
something else for psychics to do, which I was hoping the other rooms might have similar sort of functionality.
Yeah. And I feel like there's one more but it might just be those 3 sidekick rooms and then the individual rooms.
Is the garden room still there? You know, the one with all the
Yes,
princess that's still there?
it
Cool.
is. The money bin's still there. The shield helicarrier is ish thing is still there. So so yeah, those things are still there too. And I kind of feel like the dojo, the haunted mansion, the disco is an extension of those rooms. Those rooms looked cool, but they
Yeah.
had very limited functionality, and now seems like you can do more with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. Well, anything else about interiors before we move on to the big piece of the game, the big piece of this show, the toy box?
No, I don't. As I said, it's like I didn't rant about it. I just don't know. I just haven't spent enough time with it, nor
Yeah.
do I care about it at this point in time. But I'm sure I'll get to it because I have to unlock sidekicks and stuff. So maybe I'll have a better formed opinion later on.
Well, it's kind of like what the toy box discussion. It's good that we waited until this week because there's just so much to this game. Last week I felt like we were just glazing the surface. I had little nibbles of all the different pieces of the game, but I didn't really have a chance to go into any area in too much depth this
Yeah, I
year.
definitely think in upcoming shows, we definitely need to do a proper breakdown of each of the play sets and discuss them in a little bit more detail because there's
Mm,
a lot of cool stuff there
yeah,
to talk about, really.
absolutely. That's a great idea. All right. Well, for now though, let's talk about the toy box. So I finally got some time with the toy box myself this week, Jason. But out of the two of us, even prior to 3.0, you were the toy box expert, and I'm still getting my feet wet in this version. So just gonna go ahead and toss it your way, and I'll give you my thoughts as they
Yeah.
develop as you're talking.
Well, well, I still am also getting my feet wet. Yeah, thanks to the playsets being great, I really did, leave it to last. Whereas in 2.0, I was into the toy box day one and ignored the playset. So it was sort of a reverse of the 2.0 situation. But as a result, I haven't had that much time with many of the new toys. But, and the reason I don't have my Donald hat for the rant that is about to to come is that it's still too early to judge,
Mm.
but I'm going to have a good old crack at it anyway. Um, but yeah, but before I do, I'll start with saying new toys.
Stand by, Jason. I lost your audio. I don't know. Go ahead, say something.
Testing,
Yep,
one,
got it
two,
back.
three. Got it back.
Yep.
Lovely, lovely. Disney trying to silence me again, no doubt. um, Yeah, so I think all the new toys are not what I would call fluff additions. I think every one of them, nearly every one of them, and I can't even think all of them off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but the vast majority of the new toys that they added
Creativa toys, right?
really,
Or
yeah, the
okay.
creativity toys specifically I'm talking about here, really do add a ton of options and value to the toy box. Um, but, and I think we'll probably, again, revisit
Yeah.
some of the new toys down the track and specifically go over some of those toys. But my initial gut reaction is I fear that the pendulum has once again swung back in favor of the playsets. I said last week that I felt like they'd got it right both times, but now after spending a little bit of time in the toy box, I don't think that's the case at all. This reeks of corporate saying, I think I think some people weren't happy higher up the food chain that Disney Infinity got such bad review scores last year with 2.0,
Okay.
and I think there's been a lot of time put into these new playsets which has achieved the result that's wanted. But let's be honest, most of these reviewers probably spend no more than couple of hours tops in the toy
Yeah.
box. Like I'd be surprised if they do anything outside of the hub, so to speak, because the toy box is still broken,
Still buggy.
and that's what it's buggy and broken as far as I'm concerned. I've had not only uh, not so much the new toys seem mostly all right, but like for instance, last night I was playing with a friend of mine online, trying to build a toy box in the like together in the same box, completely
Yeah.
broken. What I was seeing was completely different. He was flying in a helicopter. I could not see him for the life of me. He was completely transparent. I could see the rockets coming out of the helicopter. I laid down a path and put a vehicle on the path, but when I was in it, the vehicle was just tripping out. And he said, "Oh, you know, it's going around the path." Now he was the host,
Right.
so he was obviously seeing everything fine on his end, but on my end, it was all looking broken to me. Nothing was working, and I thought, "Here we go again." And now the toy box is extremely
Right.
complex. Let's not kid anyone here, but the point is, it's like it's still broken though. Toys that were flawless previously are now broken. Like I can't the Sky Changer
Mm-hmm.
thing. I've connected a button to the Sky Changer in the Pirate box. Does not work. I've set it so that when the button presses, it changes to pitch black. It does not work. Baroness 89 told me you have to put, or you don't have to, but if you put a logic gate in between the button and the Sky Changer, it will help. It seems to help the situation. But I'm like, so we're already dealing with hacks to get these toys to work the way they should be.
Hmm.
And so now, also, it definitely is a smoother experience in 2.0. It feels more stable,
Okay.
but you can't forgive the fact that these toys are still broken. The replayer is still atrocious. It's like a 50-50 chance whether that thing's going to work or not.
Huh.
Someone mentioned in the chat there's a weird glitch going on, and it seems to be intermittent now since I've been on US, since I downloaded the US digital version of the game. It hasn't been as bad as it was on my Australian disc version, but there seems to be this weird graphical glitch where polygons are flickering,
Yep.
transparent on and
I've had
off
that.
all over the toy.
I've had that in the playsets even though. So
2.0 boxes are completely broken. You can't even download. If you download a 2.0 toy box and start deleting things, like I downloaded my old Pirates box,
Mhm.
and I wanted to just put down a sky changer so I could change the sky. So I thought, oh, I'll delete a few. That box was at capacity. Didn't matter how many things I deleted, it was not freeing up memory. That's a known issue, mind you.
Hmm.
But you can't even download. Again, I was at my friend's house. I had a spare Aladdin figure. So I gave him my spare Aladdin figure. And I said, "Oh, I know one of these guys. I think it was Erdaddy made a really good side-scroller Aladdin game based on the old NES." I said, "Let's go find it." So we found it online. Went
Hmm.
download to console. Can't do it. Does not show up. So they're basically refusing to put 2.0 content in the 3.0 toy box.
One thing that is known is that the toy box size is capacity is smaller for 3.0 than it was in 2.0. So is that? I mean, I assume that's part of the reason for the bug that you were referring to. But could that also be that
What?
some just are too big to even open in 3.0? Do you think that?
Well, you make an excellent point. I think that is a horrible move. I understand that it might be
Right.
necessary, but I can't believe that they've reduced the amount of memory per box. Like that seems counterproductive to me. I don't care if it's a technical limitation. I'm just simply saying, like, because with 2.0, when I built that Pirates 2.0 box, I felt like this is a really high-end toy box, but I felt like it needed another like 10,
Mm,
20% available memory space to really put the cherry on the
yeah.
top. And so now to here with 3.0, you've got even less room to work with.
Yep.
I mean, you've got to work within your restrictions. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you can't turn it off. But I'd love to hear uh, A, their reasoning behind that, and B, is that still a flow on effect of still being tied to last
Yeah.
gen? Which I don't think it would be because clearly, I mean, I think they've stated that some stuff just flat out
Hmm.
isn't available in the last gen
And
version
that was
because of memory restrictions.
that was the case with 2.0 as well. So
Um, but I think above all of this, and this is why the RAN hat's not on, because I mean, what do you call it? The clean speak hasn't been up for days. I can't connect to it, so I can't put text in my game.
really,
Yeah, and everyone, all the artists have been saying, yeah, no, I haven't been able to connect for ages. And I'm like, well, is someone dealing with that? Because I kind of need text in my toy box right now. Like, I can't finish my toy box until I've got the ability to put text in my game.
Huh.
I think the UI is horrendous. I don't know whoever it totally needs updating. And in fact, I'm going to start my top 10 a lot earlier this year because I want people to hear it. But I don't know to say that, but I have some really great ideas how to make that UI a lot more usable. Have you noticed how now when you click on a Creativa toy, you go into its properties, it will show you the properties of everything that toy is
Yeah.
connected to, which I find incredibly frustrating.
Well,
It's a lot harder to determine to bug test
yeah.
because not only are you seeing the properties of that toy, but you have to deal with seeing the properties of every toy it's connected to, which again, I'm not going to fall total judgment on that, but I am initially finding that more confusing than the old system.
At least you can see
Um,
the path now visually.
Yep, it's nearly there. My problem with that is that like sometimes it's just the path obscured.
Yeah.
So as good as it is to
Mm.
see that it's like you'll get the cameras in such a position. It's like, oh yeah, I can see that path going off to I don't know what, because you don't have the ability to sort of zoom out from that thing to go, can I trace that path
Yeah.
to find out where it's connected to? There's tiny little things like that. And again, this wouldn't be an issue. I guess the main problem with all of this is that they haven't proven themselves with 2.0. With 2.0, we got, what was it? Two updates. So we've already got a broken toy box in 3.0. Not broken, but a toy box with known repeatable bugs. And I was on the forums today because I thought, give them fair game. Let's go check out the forums, the brand new forums, and see what the response is. I have not seen one official response on the forum to people posting
On the
bugs
official Disney Infinity
on the
forums. Yeah.
official Disney forums. So right there, that says someone's not on the case. Um, and I said back, didn't I say in the top 10 thing? I said like, let's get an official patch list.
Yeah.
We need an official document that says here's all the known bugs that we're working on, and here's an official place to put your bug list. Like if you encounter a bug, send it here so that we can put it on our priority list to fix. And that's my fear. Do I have to wait yet another year for 4.0 Toy Box to come up to correct all the issues that 3.0 has? What's their commitment level? Are they committed to patching this thing through to the 4.0 Toy Box? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's super frustrating. And look, again, it's a complex beast.
It is.
I'm not saying it's not a complex beast, but if you're going to create and put a complex beast on the market, support it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you've got artists out there that are working their guts out, putting 20, 30, 40 hours in the toy boxes. I don't think it's good enough to say, well, yeah, we'll fix those when 4.0 comes out.
Right.
Thanks for your support type thing. It's just, I don't know.
Have you noticed some issues that were prevalent in 2.0 being fixed in 3.0? I know you're seeing these additional issues, but I'm just curious.
It's definitely less crashy.
Okay.
Like it's not crashing as much, which is great.
Yeah.
The menus are faster, which is awesome. But no, now that you actually mention it, I'm yet to have an experience where I put a toy down and go, oh, thank goodness it doesn't do that anymore. And the toys that are there, I don't know. To me, it just reeks of the guys that are actually programming these toys. It seems as if these guys have never actually built anything in the toy box.
In what way?
Because-
I'm curious.
Well, I don't know. It just seems like the people that are designing the UI, the people that are designing how the toys work, how everything
Yeah.
connects, it doesn't seem like they have much experience in actually building complex toy boxes, which again brings up this other issue of. I mean, I've been building now for what, over a year
Yeah.
in the toy box, and I'm still learning every day. Is that just too complex for the average user? Everyone always says that the toy box is too complex,
Yeah.
too hard to get your head around. And I'm like, at what point do you go, You either got to go one direction or the other. You either got to make it more sandboxy, where it's literally just about plonking toys down and having fun. But if you're going to keep going down the road of you want your community to create closer and closer experiences to play sets, then I think you've got to continually improve the tool set and update it regularly. We shouldn't have to wait till 4.0 to get a UI tweak change.
Yeah.
Like, here's an idea that, to me, just seems like the simplest idea in the world. Why wouldn't when you go to Creativitoy, have it color coded so that any methods or that are not specifically related to that toy, why wouldn't they be in a different color?
Can you explain methods for those that don't know?
So just that, like, when you go into the properties of a toy and you've got all the things that it says, like when you connect something, it comes up in the list underneath.
Right.
You got properties, and then you got all the things that you've done to it. As I say, at the moment they're throwing everything in there.
Right.
They're showing the properties of the toys that it's connected to, and the properties. It's a complex thing. I could show you on a live stream one time.
Yeah. No.
where
it's programming language, and that's all
But the point, yeah. But the problem is, regardless of what the problem is, should we have to wait 12 months to fix those things? And I don't think that's the case. As part of, let's be honest, we're the development community. Toybox artists are the development community for the DLC, and the hardcore users should have access to hardcore tools, in my opinion. For instance, why can't we see, and this stuff doesn't have to be open to everybody, it could be something you can switch on and off, but I would love to be able to see an actual memory load information of individual toys.
Yeah.
So instead of just telling me, yeah, no, your box is full, well, tell me what the toys are, which toys take up the most in an actual real world number format, rather than me having to just randomly delete stuff.
Right.
Let me go, okay, well, I can see this toy is taking up a good chunk of memory. I'll work on how I can remove that from my box first before I go and delete all of this stuff. There's tons of UI tweaks, and that stuff will get worked out over time. But
yeah, a lot of what you're saying is quality of life improvements. It's
just little tweaks,
yeah.
And again, it's like, why should we be waiting? I don't think it's right to wait. There should be the possibility for a complete Toybox UI overhaul midway through a release.
Yeah.
But Disney haven't shown that at the moment. They're very much, and it just feels, I don't know, I just kind of feel like the state that it's in, again, is better than 2.0, but it still feels a bit like we put a lot of effort into the playsets this year because they lacked last year, and we had a bit of Toybox feels good enough. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I mean, take a look at the spline tool and the Music Maker. As the spline tool is something I personally know they have at least played around with since 1.0. The Music Maker is something that opens up a world of possibilities and is also a complicated beast.
Huge additions, yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm not a programmer.
Well, let's put UI aside. I mean, for me, it's unforgivable you still can't reliably create toy boxes in a multiplayer format.
Yeah, but what? Yeah, you're right. I mean, but you are a programmer. There's never a bug-free system.
No, that's right, and that's why the Donald Duck hat's on, because I'm not gonna run them over, because obviously all these things can be fixed. My issue is that they still yet to put their hand up and go, here's how we're going to deal with it. Well, it's like, here's where to address the issues. Here's how we're going to communicate to you, the people that are helping our game. Here's how we're going to communicate to you the progress of fixing these issues.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And this is when we're going to roll out the patches, because last year they just went silent. We got the second update. It was still broken post that patch. They did fix a lot of the toys, which was great, but then they went silent, and we didn't get any more patches for the rest of the year, and we were basically left to deal with a broken toy box. And I'm just saying, it's not looking great when right out of the gate, it's arguably more broken than 2.0 because at least out of the gate with 2.0 we could use uh, the text creator
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like there just seems to be, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what
no.
I'm saying. It's about transparency and communication with the community, and I don't feel like we've still yet
Gotten
got
there.
that. And again, voice. There's nothing on the forums. No one seems to be. And you don't want the token. Oh, we'll get to that.
Right.
We'll,
Cuz that could be
I feel
4.0 or it could be
I feel
5.0.
exactly. I feel like we are owed. If you've got a legitimate bug that you can put forward, it's one thing. If I come to you and just say, "Oh, no, it's broken,"
Yeah.
but if I come to you and say, "Here's the
Yep,
specifics,"
here's a
I'm in a multiplayer
reproduce.
box. It's an online situation. I've laid down a path. I've put a vehicle on the path. When I and actually specifically explain the exact bug, I feel like you should get a legitimate response, not just a shove off like, yeah, we'll get to that. I'm sure the technicians are working on it. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't you feel
Yeah.
like
No, I
I don't
mean,
know?
and it's one of those things. It's like we don't know how that's handled behind the avalanche doors, but what we do know is that there is in game development there's generally a few different teams. A lot of times when a product is released, there's one team that goes off and either continues work on the next thing or starts work on the next thing, and then one group that works on DLC, and then another group that works on bug fixing and patching. And generally, for a lot of AAA games, and I don't know if you consider Disney Infinity a AAA game. I think in a lot of respects it is one, but it's not. I don't think in the traditional gamer community sense. Outside of the amount of money it's made, it's not Call of Duty. It's not a universally loved game.
No, but you do raise a good point because so I was looking at my figures when my buddy got this. I looked at all my figures and I went, "Gosh, what an undertaking!" Like, there's no way
Yeah,
I would expect anyone to go backdate their figure collection. But my gosh, they're making a lot of money off this game.
yeah,
Like they're taking over Times Square. There is a lot of money in Disney Infinity, and that's what I guess makes it even worse.
yeah.
It's like, really, you can't spare some money to instigate a bug tracking division?
Hmm.
Like, and look, and they've shown some really good progress as far as like working with the community. We've got the, what do they call it? What are the master artists now? They've got that advisory
Yeah, advise it.
board. I
Hmm.
don't know whether that is going to be a relationship outside of just the Peter Pan thing, but you've got this amazing community that once again you do not really seem to be drawing upon to it doesn't have to be a public thing. Why wouldn't you get in touch with the top 50 artists that you've got and say, hey, here's a private email address, any bugs that you get,
Yeah,
email it to us and we'll get back to you with an explanation of why it is and what the percentage chance of it actually getting fixed is. It just
I
seems.
don't. It's so tough. I'm not arguing with you, but someone who works in support, it's think about how many hands are on this game and how many people will be hitting that inbox without legitimate issues.
But again, it's broken. Like, you can't. Like, how much do you forgive? Particularly when you're
Yeah,
spending $15 a figure. This is not a cheap game. We're paying full retail for the game out of the gate.
right.
Then more cash every time we buy figures, every time we buy power discs. I don't think you get a get out of jail free card.
But is the game broken? Like this isn't Battlefield or this isn't Halo Master Chief Collection where an aspect of the game is completely unplayable. There's bugs, but I'm just trying to
Yeah.
play devil's advocate here.
Oh
So
no, no, totally. I
yeah,
agree with you. That is a good question. Is it? Because if the toy box is designed to do what it does
right.
and it doesn't do it well, then that's broken in my opinion. That's why I said, like, it feels like to me that all the reviewers have gone, playsets are awesome, toy boxes over there.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean? Like,
but that's to be expected. I mean, you even said they probably spent not all reviewers. Let's throw that out there, but it's logical to think that many reviewers focused on the aspects that are frankly easy to review. Everyone knows Star
yeah,
Wars. Everyone knows
yeah,
Clone Wars, the original trilogy, inside out. That's
yeah,
pretty simple. Oh, here's the sandbox you can play in, and it works great because I drop down these power disc from 1.0 and I press a button for some fireworks from a template.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Totally.
yeah, and so
I know, and I'm only talking out of passion for love for the
right,
toy box, and
right,
I agree. It's only the hardest core toy box builders that will encounter these issues. But that's nonetheless, like, I don't think it's without. I mean, they've created a path tool. They made a lot of buzz about a path tool. What am I thinking as a user last night when I'm playing with my buddy and I'm like, oh, connect it up, and I said, you're not moving. You're just sitting there tripping out. Like, if you're not, if you're a younger person, you don't understand bugs, you're just thinking this doesn't make
yeah,
sense. Or you've got him flying around with an invisible helicopter. That's not hardcore building.
right.
That is basic building, multiplayer building.
And
Like,
it's funny.
yeah,
I've never heard them advertise multiplayer building. You know what I mean? There's
yeah.
multiplayer gameplay in toy boxes, but they never. eh,
So you were in my pirate box the other
Yeah,
day, and like
it doesn't.
the camera was
Yeah,
broken.
it doesn't.
Camera was broken. It does not work when there's multiple people in a box. And I'm like, well, why even advertise like the ability to have four players in a toy box if you can't reliably expect an outcome based on that gameplay?
Yeah, no,
It's fundamentally broken. Which again, I'm not giving you you
right,
can't
right.
get a get out of jail free card when you're spending this amount of money on a game.
Yet your Donald hat is not on.
No, no, it's not because I've got to give them a chance to
Right.
respond. Like as I
Okay.
said, like we haven't seen that. How quickly will this patch come? As of this moment, you still can't put text in the game. There's still multiplayer issues in the arcade, I believe. We've had we had a day one patch, but that was to remove the power
We had
discs.
another really small PlayStation
No,
patch at least.
yeah, that was to remove the power disc. The day one patch was to fix some driving issues, I believe, and a few other little tweaks.
Hmm.
The second patch was to remove the power discs that had too much information on them, and we haven't had another update. But
Yeah.
again, even when that patch comes, I don't think Disney's ever necessarily even released a document that
Yeah.
says here's what we fixed in the patch.
Yep. I mean, I think the only info that we've ever received is when we have people that we can ask certain questions to, or the community coming together and being like, "Hey, I tried this; it was broken before this patch, and now it's not broken." And
Exactly.
that is not the way to, especially for
No.
something like this. If I have an iPhone and the carrier signal is slightly boosted from a patch, I don't really need to know that. They still tell me this is a game that like is all about programming and all about these complicated tools of half the time
Yeah.
it goes back to something we discussed with 2.0, Jason. It's very unfortunate when you're having to guess whether or not you program something incorrectly versus the tools themselves breaking. And
That is exactly it.
yeah,
And again, lots of improvements. Lots of improvements.
yep.
Not saying it's a bad experience. I'm just saying that it's definitely still not every toy works as advertised.
So with that being said, I personally feel like the game has bugs. They're always going to have bugs, but it does, for the most part, for me, seem less buggy. But I'm not as
Yes.
strong in the toy box. What are some of the toy box aspects that you've seen improved?
I love the line that connects the
Yeah,
toys.
yeah.
Like again, it's not perfect. Um, um, no, I'm struggling.
I mean, so do you like? Obviously, you like the new Path Creator tool.
Oh yeah, all the new tools, as I said, are awesome.
Okay.
They're really awesome tools. I've got nothing against the new tools, and I look forward to discussing those in detail down the track. But the Path tool, yeah, is an absolute game
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah, it is.
Absolute game changer. I still think it could be better, and I've got some ways to that we could improve. Like it. No, I'm not going to go into it
Yep.
now because,
Go with your
but
3.0
um,
or 4.0 improvement show.
exactly, we'll go over that. It's the 4.0 show. But I don't know. As I said, it's just disheartening to think that wow, how long are we going to have to deal with these little bugs? Like you said, it's like it's really hard to tell. Is this just not? Is this an unresponsive toy due to a bug, or is it this something
Yeah.
that I've done and set up wrong? And now I'll know better after the building this pirates box. It's really good that I created the Pirates box because I'll be able to tell exactly how much less memory there is
Yeah.
because of effectively building the same box. So it'll give you a good indication of if there's way less memory or
Mm.
only a little
Yeah.
bit, no matter what it is. We'll see, I guess.
Tesla Blitz in the chat is saying the time delay and repeater is much better. You have the ability to speed up time in increments of zero point 0.5, and that's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
that's cool. That's cool.
Toybox
That's cool.
Master
Again, yeah,
Artist.
I've barely, barely touched a lot of the toys. It's just, as I said, like just some little went right out of the gate. Like I definitely had trouble with the replayer, and I know the replayer has been a pain right from day
Mm.
one. And that's fine. I'd rather have a broken
Yeah.
replayer than no replayer at all. Uh, it's just this question of say, really, like if where are we headed with this game?
Yeah.
And if you really are invested in the toy box and you want to see the toy box continue to improve, I feel like more money needs to be thrown at it. Throw more developers at it. And it's really hard. Like as you said, I'm a programmer.
Hmm.
I have this term, you have to make code monkey proof so that anyone can do it. And you never know. When you release code, you never know how people are going to use it. And so it's
Yeah.
too hard to predict every
Right.
outcome. But if you don't have a method to actually receive the input from those that are using it, how are you ever expected to fix the issues? Does everybody have to start our own Disney Infinity podcast to voice their
Right. I see what
concerns
you're saying.
and bugs?
There's no direct line of communication.
That's right. And you don't want to shout. Again, we're not talking about, and it's not work, don't get me wrong, but you're investing a lot of hours in this toy box. You don't want to be shouting into a void. You want to
Right.
hear that your voice is being heard. It's like, hey, this is not working the way it should be working. And you want that say, we hear you, we know that it's broken, and we're working to
Yeah.
to fix that particular issue. And then you want to be updated
Yeah.
when it's fixed so that you know, okay, now I can go back
At the very
and
least,
fix that thing.
patch notes should be pretty easy. Throw it up.
Exactly.
Throw it up in your community blog that you update frequently as is, and just say,
Yeah,
in the,
Bad Games just say there's no phone support either.
yeah.
That's just unacceptable. Like the forum has a category said
Mm.
known issues, but you click on it and it's just people posting, I've got this issue with no one ever
Right.
responding. There should be a thread right at the top of that says, hey, here's the updated list of all the known issues.
Yeah.
A single place that we can read and go, okay, that's a bug, that's a bug, that's a bug, that's a bug. With a little note next to it saying, working on this will be fixed in the next patch. Working on this will be fixed in the next patch. Estimated patch arrival will be in,
Yeah.
1 month's time, 1 week's time. That doesn't seem hard.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask? I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Jason, they hear you. I'm very curious to hear how this conversation progresses over the next year of having this game and seeing if the patch support continues past the first couple. Because sadly, history has proven otherwise. So it'll be interesting to see if our experience is improved over time.
I did have the thought of again pushing the idea of removing the toy box from 3.0 and making that just a free digital download that's treated completely separately. I think it works up to a point because I think you could release a 3.0 disc and it's all just playset content.
Yep.
The toy box is completely separate and they just continually upgrade and update the toy box on the side. Problem with doing that is though, you remove so much of the fun of the playsets because
Yeah.
half the fun of the playsets is unlocking the
Mm-hmm.
toys by playing the playsets.
Agreed.
So you'd have to work that out. But yeah, I don't know. As I said, we'll get onto the really good stuff where we talk about toys because there really is a lot more great gameplay options.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the initial gut feeling is this thing's still very broken, and I only just scratched the surface. I'm not even deep into building yet.
Yeah.
Like I'm yet to determine how deep the rabbit hole is as far as bugs is
And that's
concerned.
what's crazy. I mean, I think the whole community is kind of in that sense of discovery right now, and it's a good and bad discovery, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
So let's just get an official team, a head in the in charge of like just. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever heard of anyone reaching out to any artist and going, "Hey, how's the building experience? Where's the
yeah.
questionnaire? Why wouldn't you send a survey out
Well,
to the top 50 artists and go, what improvements would you like to see and what would help you in the toy box when you're building?
well, who knows? Maybe that's what part of that board is. The
Possibly.
council, because we
Maybe
don't
it
know.
is.
I mean, you and I aren't on that, but it will be
No.
interesting to.
And I hope it
I hope
is.
so too. Yeah.
I hope it is. Because we've got some amazing people in this toy box that I'm sure have lots of frustrations that would have simple solutions on how
Right.
to fix them.
Or
I've got
simple
a few of my own.
improvements. Yep. Crowdsourcing.
Yeah, exactly. Simple improvements. And I just think it's a case of these people have got their full-time job is programming this toy box, which is no easy feat
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. You can't expect them to also have to spend 10, 15 hours a day building in the toy box
Right.
to understand
Right.
what they actually need to do.
Right.
So, and it sounds like based on the actual official, the hired community, the Papa Echoes and such, they're snowed under too. Doesn't sound like they've got a lot of time to be able
Right.
to sit down with the people that are programming this stuff and communicate what they need. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough situation.
It
I
is.
just want to see the toy box be the best it can be, and it just feel to me it feels like Disney Infinity 2.5 as far as the toy box is
Okay.
concerned.
I can't
But
comment. So
it may
take your word.
change. Again, these are early thoughts, which is why it's not a full blown rant.
Right.
But if in 6 months from now it's still broken and we've only had one patch, that's when the
Okay.
Donald Duck hat comes out.
Because I'll be honest, I kept waiting for that hat to come out. It seemed like a full blown rant, but what you're doing is you're broaching the subject and allowing a response. And that's what I
Exactly,
like.
exactly. Because bugs are inevitable.
Right.
The game's only what, a couple of weeks old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they could fix it all. They could absolutely fix it all in a single patch for all I know. So that's why you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Totally.
So we'll see. We'll see, Disney.
All right. Well,
Let's see those patch
you,
notes.
you have you've given them a call. Let's see if they answer.
Exactly.
Anything else? That's actually we're coming up to our hour here, Jason. Do you have anything else you want to say about the toy box? I don't really have anything to say other than the fact that I'm digging it, and I even though it's toy box conceptually is not new. I was playing in the toy box the other day. I wasn't actually. I was watching Troy, Papa Echo, and Jose. I mean, I was watching one of their tutorials, which are amazing, by the way, guys. If you're listening, those are great. Have helped me out tremendously in this version. But I was watching them with the Logic Gate and Mickey and a wand, and it just kind of hit me. You have something as absolutely universal as Disney. I mean, practically everyone in the world loves the Disney brand. And then you have something that is so niche in the form of programming in a visual sort of interactive way. And it just kind of just blew my mind for a moment. It's like, in a million years, if you would ask me this 5 years ago, if this game would have ever existed, I would have said you're insane. You're never going to mash up something so complicated with something so universal. And it's interesting to me that the Disney brand is where that home was found.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that totally kind of out there, but it just kind of hit me, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's just so
I
interesting.
agree with you, and I think I said to you that the greatest compliment I can give was was having such a great time with the play sets, such a great time with the Toy Box Takeover, all that content, having an amazing time with. But when I actually got into the Toy Box, just had this sense of felt like I was home again.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I mean?
cool.
I remembered instantly the joy that I get from building
That's
in the Toy
awesome.
Box. And it didn't feel like, but it wasn't such a way that, oh yeah, awesome, I'm done with the playsets. I
Yeah,
like genuinely enjoying both, and that's really cool. And I think it's really helped this year with the return to form as far as making the Star Wars stuff so toy-like.
yeah, yeah,
Because once again, it feels a lot more with playing. It feels more like playing with toys in a toy
yep.
box, which that visual style really helps to communicate what play in the toy box is all about. So, yeah, it's still such a cool concept. As you said, it shouldn't exist.
Yeah,
It should not exist legally, all of that.
right.
So I'm glad to have it. And I just hope it continues to
To
grow and
improve.
expand.
And you know what? That's not a bad thing. Like these are criticisms because it's something you feel passionate about. Obviously, you've been doing a weekly show about it for the last couple of years. And it's these criticisms are meant to only improve the experience, not only for you, but for everyone out there, both current audience and potential audience as well.
Well, and I think it's great for, I think people who build like hearing it from us because I think they feel like, at least when we comment on it, they feel like they're being
Mm,
heard. Like I tweeted at Disney, I tweeted at Disney, I said, I cannot use the clean speak, not a response whatsoever. Well, it's like, okay, well, thanks for that. Thanks for the
yeah,
update. I'll just continue to bash my head against the wall while trying to continually add this text in, shall I? You know what I mean?
yeah,
And at least I think people come to us and they want to hear, at least if we feel it, you want to know that you're not the only
right.
one. And that's what we can provide people.
At
So
the very
I
least.
hope that, I hope with what I've said today, if you're bashing your head against the wall going, why isn't this working? Know that you're not alone. There are bugs in the game, and hopefully we'll get them ironed out just as soon as we know who to tell the bugs to.
Right. Awesome, Jason. Well, with that, I'm glad you are the sounding board for much of the community that we interact with. No, I'm serious. It's great. It really is, and I'm thankful that you have not only the in-game experience but also out-of-game experience to help facilitate these conversations. I think it's really important to be had.
And
So
it says a lot that I still want to play a game when it frustrates
totally,
me.
absolutely.
So,
There you go.
yeah,
Kudos in that respect. All
definitely.
right, buddy. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the Inside Infinity podcast. It was a great one. We talked a lot about the toy box, and it kind of wraps up our two review shows. I hope everyone out there enjoyed listening to it. Next week, we have a very special guest. Brandon Jones from GameTrailers.com is going to be joining us, and he is not only a huge Disney fan, a huge Toy Box and playset fan as well. He does a weekly live stream on Tuesdays called Toy Box Tuesday, where he plays the game. And Jason, I know you've been talking with him for a while. We're really excited to have.
Only through chat, but yeah, I'm excited
Yeah,
that we can have a positive conversation next week. I was glad that we would get that
yeah,
pre-rant out of the way.
perfect. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, next week will be sunshine and roses. It will be Mickey's Farm. So with that, I want to thank everyone who joined us in the live stream today. Lots of great conversation discussing what could potentially be the issues. Also, some hand holding and helping and that. So we appreciate that conversation, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us, Jason. I think it's gonna end it for this week, my friend. Stay on the lookout for Jason's words. Look for him on Twitter because he's talking these things throughout the week in between the shows. So yeah,
And I'll be streaming a lot of the toy box in the next few weeks, hopefully. So,
awesome. Teaching people how to use it.
yep, showing them the bugs more like.
Awesome. All right, buddy. Well, as always, I really appreciate you being on this week's show.
Loved it.
All right. Thanks, man. And everyone out there, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode 103 of the Inside Infinity podcast. And hope you're enjoying the game as much as we are. And until next week, we hope your week is filled with infinite possibilities. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Inside Infinity Podcast. It is brought to you with support of Toybox Imagineer. ToyboxImagineer.com is your number one place for Toybox collaboration and collection checklist. So look there if you want to collaborate on toy boxes with others and just meet some like-minded Toybox Imagineers like yourself. Toyboximagineer.com. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Inside Infinity Podcast, episode number 103. If you like what we do, please look for us on all of our channels, youtube.com/Disney Infinity TV. Look for us on Twitter and our Facebook group. Also, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Disney Infinity TV. We appreciate all of our patrons. Our newest patron is Corey. We appreciate the support. Also want to thank Luke, James, Alvin, and John, and Aaron. We appreciate all of our patrons. With your support, we are able to bring this show to you each and every week. So thank you for that. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Also look for our partner network, Res.tv, youtube.com/ResTV.